Hey everyone, Epion Gaming here, and we're doing a little bit of Kerbal Space Program today. And in this episode, we're taking up a fighter that I've been designing for several months, the Red Arrow 3. It resembles more of a Eurofighter Typhoon as opposed to a Saab Draken 35, which I was kind of trying to go for, but it didn't quite turn out the way I'd hoped to, but I still think it looks pretty awesome. So without further ado, let's give it a whirl. Full power. And in about roughly 7 to 8 seconds, this thing can take off, so it's not too shabby for liftoff speed. Now, there are two inspirations behind making this fighter. The first one was when I was watching Thunderbirds as a kid. There was an episode of that show called Edge of Impact, which showcased a fighter called the Red Arrow. It was a new U.S. Air Force fighter design that was sabotaged on its first 2 test flights. And I figured this thing deserved to see some action, instead of ingloriously flying around for a couple of minutes and being thrown off course by a homing device and crashing into several buildings. So, after several attempts over the last few months, there were many iterations that looked good but didn't quite work out the way I'd hoped until I finally figured out how to get this sort of delta wing design to it. And I think it looks awesome. And the other inspiration for making this fighter was watching DevilDogGamer's KSP War series. I'm a huge fan of it. I love DevilDogGamer. He's freaking awesome. And I would frankly love to see him take this fighter out for a spin in one of his videos, because I've been trying to mod in some weapons for a while, and it hasn't exactly worked out the way I'd hoped. Not the best at using mods, so I actually built all these weapons from scratch here. These weapons, which I've dubbed Tarantula Hawks, and they can do quite a bit of damage if they're fired off all in succession. They fire out from the wingtips in, and I'll demonstrate like so. And they all fire in sequence going inwards towards the fuselage of the aircraft. But until I can figure out how to do mods, I would love to loan this aircraft design out to DevilDogGamer and see him take it out for a couple of war games and exercises. And hopefully this thing does as well as she handles right over here. It doesn't have much in terms of yaw capabilities, but it rolls like a dream. It can fly very quickly, and both encumbered and unencumbered, it can fly halfway around the world on a solid fuel tank. And the reason is because of its variable thrusters. Just turn it off that way to go for cruising speed. You're not burning much fuel doing that, and in case the aircraft starts to drop out of the sky, just turn the boosters right back on. It's broken many, many records that were set by my old aircraft with the full power engines, the ones that didn't have the variable thruster mode. And so far I've been thoroughly impressed with how it's handled, and it's served as the benchmark for a whole new generation of aircraft that I've been working on, including a new machine called the Dart Reconnaissance Aircraft, which I'll showcase in a later episode. Let's try and blow up the VAB here, without crashing into it. And it didn't quite get it this time, but it has blown up the VAB on several occasions, so yeah. It seems to be a bit of a hit-or-miss thing with it, but all in all, I'm very pleased with this model, and I would really love if someone out there can actually take this aircraft, mod in a couple weapons on it, and take it for a spin in their videos. That would make me the happiest man alive. And hopefully be featured in a KSP War video. Maybe put some GAU-8s or GAU-10s on the front there, with a couple of AMRAAMs and JDAMs and stuff like that. This way it could be the multi-role aircraft it was designed to be, all while flying at nearly supersonic speeds. I did some calculations too when I was doing a bunch of its test runs, and it's capable of flying about as fast or even faster than an F-22 Raptor, so that's pretty solid. I'm very proud of this creation. And what's more, in case of emergencies during dogfighting, it actually comes standard with an ejection system. I'll demonstrate that later on in the video, but right now I want to get this aircraft down safe and sound. And in case the landing's a bit too hot, we can always deploy a couple of drogue chutes to slow it down, just enough for it to get landed safely. Just circling now, and we're going to touch down in just a few seconds. Without crashing into the ground. But that won't be a problem. I've landed this aircraft plenty of times. And there we go. But we're going a bit too quickly, so I'll deploy the drogue chutes. Nah, well, I won't. Now, no need to, never mind. I was wrong. And with that, another happy landing. And that's pretty much got it. That's the flight demo of the Red Arrow 3. I hope you like it. Hope DevilDog likes it too. I want to see this thing in action, and that would be a huge privilege to have this thing in a KSP War video or otherwise. And with that, I'll come back to you with a demonstration of the ejection system, and I'll show you how it all works. Catch you in a second. Alrighty, and we're back in the air with the Red Arrow 3 once again. This is for the ejection and other safety measures on there. We have Raybird at the controls this time around. Before we do that, I want to try and do another live fire demonstration and see if we can pick off a couple targets as well. I set up a rocket there on the launch pad, so let's see if we can try and take this thing out, and hopefully the launch pad with it, if we're lucky. And missed by a very wide margin. I apologize for that. It works better on bigger targets like buildings and stuff like that. But if you go in at a low altitude and just drop something on there, you can hit it pretty easily. So anyway, today's demonstration is going to be for the ejection system, as I said earlier. So let's say things are going out of control. You know what's hit the fan. We're in really big shape. The aircraft's pretty much foobar. But like nothing's going right whatsoever. And so, and there we are. That's where the ejection system comes in. So all the Red Arrow 3 plummets to its doom down there. Don't worry, we got plenty more in reserve. Raybird over here is safely floating right back down to Earth. And that aircraft is not going to last much longer now. But that's the important thing, I think, is to always have a good safety measure in your aircraft. And there we are, just like the Thunderbirds episodes. Only without crashing into a television relay tower or into an aircraft hangar. But yeah, it's pretty, it's worked pretty well. I've tested it a number of times. There have been a few tragic accidents, but such is life. And in case you're falling a little bit too quickly, the nose cone can actually be used as a buffer to keep the aircraft from plummeting straight into the ground and breaking off on impact. So either way, the pilot's cabin should be pretty safe. Oops. Whoa, what the heck happened over there? And there we go. And that concludes our demonstration of the Red Arrow 3. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll catch you all next time with the demonstration of the Dart Fighter that I've been working on. See you next time. Peace.